Hello and welcome to Mike's Garage. It's been really hot today, but that's all right. That's all right. We don't care. I wanted to say, however, that if you have not subscribed, please do. And if you have subscribed, or when you subscribe, by all means, please click on the notification bell. If you do that, then you'll be notified every time we have a new video on. Okay, let's see. Yesterday we went for a ride up in the mountains, which was a gas. I think about 4 of us. It was me, cameraman Mike, cameraman artist Fred, and our friend John. You've seen all of our bikes on the YouTube channel. But anyway, we went for a ride and we ran into a couple of guys, really nice guys, that are viewers that watch our stuff, and they recognized Baby Doll, and we all had a good time together that lasted all day because it was nice and cool in the mountains yesterday. Okay, let's get on to some fun stuff here. I wanted to say that building a bike, what I really enjoy most about building a bike is everything. I like letting my imagination go a little wild. I like all of the cleanup work. Every bit of it is actually fun for me. I really love building old bikes because I love all the parts. I love the grace, the majesty, the flowing lines of the old stuff that modern stuff just isn't made that way anymore. They're really wonderful high-tech machines, but they're not quite Art Deco like they were back in the 30s and 40s and things like that. But in building a bike, you make a whole bunch of decisions. You know, I've had this thing for years and years, and in my mind it's been a radical chopper, it's been a simple bobber, it's been completely restored to a stock bike. It's been through a whole bunch of lives in my head. Now what I'm looking for is a nice simple bike that I'm going to enjoy riding, that's going to fit my body, that's going to look really old style. And I start saying, okay, well, there's different kinds of old style. You know, there's so many fads that come and go. So many fads that I remember because I'm that old. I can remember a lot of the fads that carried over into the 50s and then the 60s. The 60s really got wild because everything was a variation on everything that had been done in the 50s. Stuff that was done in the 30s and 40s was really awesome. I wasn't around to see that yet. Anyway, but I've gathered a few pieces over the years. Now, one of the tanks that was really considered a cool tank of the day was a Hummer tank. Now, a Harley Hummer was a little 125, a lot of guys that are watching this, I'm sure remember them, was a little 125cc two-stroke bike. Beautiful little things. Looked like a Harley that had been put in the dryer too hot. They just shrunk down. But the gas tank was the shape of the old Sportster XLCH tank. Same shape, but I think they held about 2 gallons total. And the big thing about them that was cool, I'm trying to turn it here so Mike can show it, was the ignition switch on the top. Now, this goes all the way through the tank. And that's where the wires came through for the switch. I've seen them where guys have sunken speedometers into that spot, or a tack or something else. But the whole thing was so funny that there was a time when there were so many bikes laying around like so much junk that you could buy them at yard sales. And you would buy an entire Hummer at a yard sale and throw it away because all you really wanted was the tank for the chopper you were building. And a lot of guys would mount their tanks on top of the frame. Now this one would have to go back a little further. This one was actually mounted on the top of a buddy's panhead chopper. And as you can see, the tunnel's been filled. Now that tunnel could be opened again, and this tank could be dropped over the frame. So I've thought about that a lot. I mean a lot over the years. It's been hanging from the ceiling for a long time. I actually cut it down tonight. There it is, and that's a thought. Again, it would have to be massaged heavily. And I really don't like, and this is just a personal preference, I don't like a lot of space between the tank and the motor. And since we have a Flathead 80 motor here, the motor is not very tall. Panhead is taller, even a knucklehead is taller than a flathead. And by the time you get up to an Evo, they're really tall. So you have to be careful when you're building a bike to pick the right frame to go with the motor you're going to use. We know what we're going to use. So here's another thing that was a fad. This was a pretty cool fad. Let me take the cap off of that one, put it on this one. This is what they called an axed Harley tank. That's when you take a pair of Harley tanks and weld them together to make a narrow tank. Now this one has a nice high tunnel in it. I think I even know who built this one. Anyway, well, let's try that on there. Now this one was set up to mount on top of the frame. No, it wasn't. It went over the frame, but the rear bracket went on the top of the backbone. And this could be massaged to work. Again, a lot of space in there. I won't be able to finish doing a tank really without the engine mocked up in here. So this was a thought. And I'm afraid this is not doing it for me either. Okay? It's cool. I'm really proud to have them. I hope the youngsters are getting a little bit of an education out of this, or the old timers are enjoying it. I'm an old timer and I'm enjoying it. But I think I found the tanks I want. I have a friend that had them for years and years, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting for him, and how was I going to trade him out of them? And I called him up and I said, "Do you still have that pair of tanks I like so much?" He said, "Yeah, come and get them." So here they are. This is somewhere between 30 and 36 VL. I love the shape. They're not going to fit this frame today. After the engine is in and we get it all figured out, these tanks are going to fit on this frame. It's going to take a whole lot of work, but it's going to make a really nice low-profile motorcycle. No dash, no speedo, no ignition switch on top. But let me get the other tank so Mike can show it from the other side. I might also add that the VL was a bike that had a splash oil system, and the oil tank was a compartment in the left tank. Okay, let's get that about where I want it. Again, won't know the exact height until the engine is in. And then there's going to be some hacking and whacking and welding. And I think it's going to be cool. But I wanted to show it. I'm sure it'll start some conversation. And I really wanted to share that and say, this is what my thoughts are, because I've been hearing a whole bunch of comments from people. The fact that this frame was modified years ago. Personally, it's always been very hard for me to make myself cut things off of the factory frame. But the original tank mounts, the speedo mount, all that has been cut off of this frame. And I was always thinking I would either leave it off or restore it. I couldn't make up my mind. And now I think I have. I'm going to put these tanks on it and not replace those brackets. So there it is for your viewing pleasure. I'm excited. I'm still waiting for my front end to come back. I was going to do some helicoils tonight and found out I really didn't need to do them, so I didn't. We will do some helicoil repairs on something as soon as it comes up. So until then, see you out on the road.